It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Evelyn Okpanachi, a transformative speaker, serial entrepreneur, and visionary leader dedicated to women's empowerment. As founder of Victorious Ladies, she leads masterclasses across Africa, the UAE, and the UK, equipping women with tools for success and emphasizing community leadership. Please help me welcome her on stage. And if we can have someone from the team to remove the chairs and the tables from stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I know it's a little bit after lunchtime, so I'm hoping that you're not feeling a little sleepy. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Valerie, Speak Up and Light Up Business Summit. I think this has been absolutely amazing. So who else has had an amazing time today so far? Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. So I think it's really important when we see women visionaries and we see what they visualise come to pass. So I just think definitely a good round of applause for Valerie and the team as well. Okay. So I'm hoping that this does work for me. If not, I'm going to have to say next. Okay, let me tell you a little bit. Okay, so today I'm talking about digitalisation to monetisation. And so there's a reason. So most of us here are business owners. So can you put your hand up if you're a business owner, please? Okay, quite a few. Or aspiring to have a business? If you're aspiring to have a business, put your hand up. Okay, great, awesome. So one of the main reasons, why do we start businesses, first of all? Can someone just tell me, why did you start a business?
Poverty.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else? Why did you start a business? Passion, following passion? Great. Did anyone start a business to make money? Brilliant, awesome, that's what I like to hear. So that's the reason why I want to discuss today digitalisation to monetisation. So I think we all agree that we live in a digital era, and so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that. So today, I want to tell you who I am. So yes, I am a serial entrepreneur. What does that mean? It means sometimes you are a businesswoman that has started multiple businesses, started and failed and started again. And most people that are entrepreneurs probably haven't just started one business. I can tell you, even as a young child, I've always started businesses. And even if they don't work, sorry, I know there's a lot of background in the I'm so sorry. Just trying to get everyone's attention. I know it's after lunch and everyone's trying to network, but I do believe there's a time to network afterwards, so that would be a great opportunity for you to do that as well. Thank you. So, as I said, being a founder of multiple businesses is because I saw so many things possible. And entrepreneurs see a gap in the market, they see a problem that needs to be solved. And so you go ahead, and one of the key things I learned as well is that you fail forward. So never be afraid of starting. And that's why probably I became a very serial entrepreneur, because I was always starting a business. So every week I probably started something new. Until of course, after a while you realise that, hold on a second, I can't keep starting and stopping. So I have to just, ensure that I've learned the lessons learned from those failed businesses and make them a success. So also, I'm a techpreneur, and I'm going to talk to you about my journey in tech in a minute. I'm not your traditional technology girl, so when people look at me, they don't associate me with the technology, but I'll explain to you how I fell into that. And then I'm a business strategist. As I said, I started multiple businesses, and so multiple businesses that failed, so I can tell you what not to do, and businesses that have succeeded, so I can say to you, actually, this is the blueprint, and this is the quicker way to find your success in this path. Also, I'm an author. So what I do believe in that knowledge is power. So how many people believe knowledge is power here? Right, absolutely. So knowledge is power. So one of the key things, when I wrote a book, one of the books I wrote was about being an empowered, emotionally empowered woman. So if I take you on that journey, so that's this book here, and you will see it outside. So we're talking a lot about women empowerment. And so why do we talk about women empowerment? Why do we talk about emotionally empowered women? And so this took me on a very interesting journey, and why? So this probably was about 10 years in the making. And the reason for that was because I wanted to understand what was the difference between a female leader and a male leader. Why were male leaders leading in the corporate world, and why were we not seeing enough female leaders? And so that took me on a journey to really understand what does it mean to be emotionally empowered, and that's why I wrote the book. So it's talking about balance. It's not talking about us hiding our emotions. And what I found out, you walk into boardrooms, and of course it was 99%, if not 100%, male-dominated. So I started asking myself questions, and I remember walking into a boardroom one time and I was attending a meeting, and I came out and the assistant turned around and said to me, "Did you realise you were the only female in the boardroom?" I said, "No, I didn't actually," because I never used to put my femininity as an issue. I used to look at what can I offer. It's not about my gender, it really is about what do I bring to the table and what can I offer. And then I noticed, and I think this is something I've taken from my father, which is having that strong emotional resilience. And that talks about empowerment in the sense that when you are emotionally balanced, you become even more empowered as a female. So for me, that was really, really important to make sure I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet, but also emotionally. So of course, you walk into organisations and they would say, "She's so emotional." I heard somebody say on the panel earlier, "She's so emotional, she can't be a very good leader." And somebody else mentioned earlier as well that emotionally empowered also means that we have empathy. So sometimes we actually come across as better leaders. So for me, that was something that propelled me to think a little bit more about emotions and how that makes us better leaders and makes us not shy away from what our emotions are, but actually to step into them and step into our light. So that was why I published the book, The Emotionally Empowered Woman. I'm very keen on education, so the second book was around project management. So our digital consultancy that I co-founded with my husband is really about empowering people through technology. So this was about helping people become digitally literate. So I don't know if people have heard the term about digital literacy, or illiteracy. And I think it's really key that many people, you go into corporate organisations and they actually can't use digital as well as you think. So you might notice that 5-year-olds can use digital much better than some people that we work in organisations. So that was something that was really key, was how to simplify digital and make it more palatable for those that want to explore and expand in their areas. So that was just a really snapshot, I would say, of who I am. Now, technology and so I'm going to talk to you about this and the journey of passion. I actually started in healthcare, so that was my experience. So, of course, I grew up in the ranks of healthcare, then I went into healthcare management. But I was really quite curious. I kept thinking to myself, in terms of technology, I really didn't really like social media. So I was the last probably in my family, the last of my friends that joined social media. Didn't know how to use Facebook, didn't know how to log on, wasn't really interested. So that's why I call myself a very curious novice. But I kept thinking, what was the attraction? What is all this technology about? And why is everybody gravitating towards Facebook or different type of tools that were there at the time? So that fascinated me more than anything else. And because I was in the healthcare space, I kept thinking, I see technology as an enabler. I see this as a tool that you can use to enhance, very similar to how people use fashion and makeup. I see it as a tool that enhances. And it can actually help you grow better in your businesses, and it can do more for you. So we've spoken today about generative AI, for instance. We've spoken about different tools that can enhance your businesses. But we absolutely know and understand that digital is one of them. So that's where my curiosity came from. And I kept thinking, I want to revolutionise the healthcare industry with technology. And that's when we talk about apps and some of the techpreneur items I spoke about earlier. So you have to be a determined learner. So what business owner isn't a determined learner? So that's really key, because you have to be, as I mentioned, I started multiple businesses. But you can see here, I embraced the challenges as well. Constantly upskilling. I feel as anyone that wants to grow, and Warren Buffett said, he said, the moment you stop learning, you die. So I believe in learning constantly, reading. You can upskill yourself in any area that you want to. The choice is yours. Henry Ford said, you can either believe that you can, or you can't. Both are true. And I believe that. So that was about me being a determined learner. So even if the business fell forward, it wasn't an issue for me. That was just a stepping stone to say, okay, fine, that's how I shouldn't do it. And actually, next step is, how should I do it? Looking at innovation is really key. So I see myself also as an innovative implementer. So looking at tech solutions for real businesses. And again, I've spoken about digitalization to monetization. So what are those type of tools? What helps us, drive our business and drive our growth? So that's really key as well. And then also, I think it's so powerful to be a tech-savvy leader. So I almost fell into technology by accident because most of my business, I love fashion, I loved events organising, it was healthcare management. All of that was really more exciting to me. But as I said, I fell into technology because I became very curious about what it could do. Okay. So if we look at here, the current digital trends to maximise profit, for example, there's a lot of talk here around artificial intelligence and integration. And I guess one of my first stories in the tech world was, I remember walking into a meeting with male professionals at the time, and I remember somebody saying to me, shall I explain to you what LAN and WAN meant? And I smiled, I chuckled, because I just thought, if you select another male, he might be quite insulting. But for me, from an infrastructure background as well, I said, no, let me explain to you what LAN and WAN means. It means your local area network, and it means your wider area network, and this is the reason why you're having these issues with your infrastructure. Essentially, they just need to increase their bandwidth. But they were quite surprised hearing me come out with that suggestion. So again, I actually find it quite amusing. I'm never really offended by comments like that. I actually feel that maybe it's a surprise to see a woman in the technology space that actually understands infrastructure, that also understands cybersecurity and actually how to protect your networks. So I think it's really key as well. The element of surprise is really good as a woman as well, when you come out and you surprise people as well. So again, as I spoke about here, there is an upgoing trend at the moment. So when we look at artificial intelligence integration, integrating that in your business will help your business soar. So I really want to help you, equip you, for you to understand what can I do to my business to elevate my business as well. So most people that integrate AI into their businesses, they've seen at least a 54% increase in their customers' experience. And so that's quite heavy, right? So if you know you can turn your ROI around, I think that's really key. And then we look at things such as cloud computing dominance. That's growing because most of our networks, so we're not holding large data spaces and we're not holding large servers. That's quite traditional. What we're doing is we're hosting a lot of our systems in the cloud. And so that is the way forward, right? So we also know as well that it's more resilient to have cloud systems as well. So even if you look at some of your social media, it's a cloud environment, it's held in the cloud. So there are a lot of systems around at the moment that are still held in servers at the back of someone's office. So again, that's not resilient. They can easily be attacked. So again, you can see there that we're looking at how the cost reduction for cloud computing is growing. So again, that's something I look at in businesses as well. Of course, most of you have heard about blockchain adoption. So again, that's looking at 81% of executives. They believe that blockchain can reduce infrastructure costs by 30% and improve transaction transparency, which is very true, yeah? And then also remote working optimization. So most of you would have known, since COVID, the world went into this remote working. And actually, that was also an enhancement that we can actually work globally more effectively. But actually, how do you optimize that? How do you work effectively globally? And so we have the things such as Zoom, we have Teams, we have Google Meet. But all of this is looking at how do we optimize with the tools that we have. So there's definitely a shift in remote working. And so you can have a client in Australia, but you live in the UK or in the UAE. You can have a client in India, so we work with a lot of people in India as well. But it doesn't stop us. So actually it really helps us because we're able to optimize that remote working optimization. So you don't have to jump on a plane every time you want to see someone. Okay, so that's one of the key things as well in terms of trends for profit. So from failure to success. So business setbacks as stepping stones. So I mentioned to you as well, for me, that failure is not an issue. It really is a stepping stone to success as well. So we have to recognize failure and embrace it. So it's a lessons learned. So most of you that have done projects or do projects, what you will see here is that when you complete a project, you would have noticed that there would be something you could have improved on. And we call that lessons learned. And sometimes it is failure. You may not have been able to implement the project within time, scope, and cost, essentially. And if that's the case, you want to be able to understand, what could I have done better? So when you embark on another project or another business, you've learned those lessons. So you do learn valuable opportunities from failure, not recognizing what those failures were. So I mentioned already the lessons extractions as well, so looking at the root causes of some of our challenges in business as well. Strategy refinement. Do we adjust our approaches based on our lessons that we have learned? And we should be doing that. That's the reason why you do a lessons learned exercise, is to adapt. We also look at growth acceleration. So again, as I mentioned, the reason why I asked the question, which is why, how many of you have businesses? Because most people want their businesses to grow, most want to maximize profit from their businesses. Therefore, you want to look at growth acceleration and make sure you're using the right insights to propel your business forward. Okay? So, looking at here, tech-powered leadership. So I think it's really key, again, when we look at how does tech-powered leadership empower women in business? So not just women, men as well. And again, this digital disruption of strategies is really key. So one of the things that we do is that we look at your digital strategy. So how many of you have a digital strategy in your business? Awesome. Great, that's amazing. So there are not many though, so that's really good to see as well, because again, not many people realise that they should have a digital strategy in place. So again, as I said, what type of technologies are you using? How do you create an innovative competitive edge? So you need technology to be able to do that. You need to be abreast of the latest technology, tools that are out there, what's trending, what's moving. So that's why it's really, really key to have a digital strategy. And then looking at your tech ecosystem networking. So here you build strategic digital connections across global platforms. Technology has made that much more easier. So when we look at, of course, most people know LinkedIn, they know tech conferences and online communities, but what else can you do to expand your ecosystem? So many are building apps that they are able to create, so that it's just their community and their business network that's able to connect with them on those type of apps. It might be your customers, that app might just be for you and your customers to interact and for you to be able to respond to your customers quite quickly, quite streamlined and smoothly. Okay, tech skill amplification as well. So that's the continuous upskilling in emerging technology. And I mentioned how powerful it is to make sure that you are constantly upskilling yourself. And one of the tools that we have done via our NGO is digital literacy for women, which is to empower women to understand what digital is. Because many women, I found, have had a fear for technology. And that's the reason why it was a heavily male-dominated industry, because many didn't want to encroach it. Okay, so I talk very quickly here. I know that I don't have as much time. So digitalization to monetization, technology-driven business growth. Identify your core processes is really key. So here you look at, again, normally you would uncover hidden opportunities, 30 to 50% efficiency gains. We look here also at implementing digital solutions. So if you don't have a digital strategy, you need one, but you also need to implement digital solutions that puts your organisation at a competitive edge. Analyze and optimize. So we need data. So once you have that data, you look at your KPIs, you look at your metrics, and then of course you optimize those, so that drives your performance and improvements. Yeah? Then we have scale and grow. So you can only unlock exponential growth when you understand what the issues are. So you need to unblock those first, and then we look at expanding those, and then we look at innovative revenue streams. So there's multiple businesses that we've worked with to look at those type of revenue streams. And I'm not going to go into this into full detail, but this is an example. We've worked for the NHS, we've worked for retail, we've worked for multiple companies, local authorities, we've worked for NGOs, where we then look at what was the challenge. A digital strategy is in place. What has that done to change how they think and how they operate their business? So here there's an example here as well that one of the key things that we were able to put in from a KPI point of view was, again, the digital strategy, which helped them soar by 120%. This is looking at e-commerce as an example. That's e-commerce. If you look at this from a clinical healthcare systems, we looked at this in terms of decreasing the morbidity. Rate as well, because we're able to interact with our patients much more better. So there's a lot here that digital can do for you. Again, I just mentioned here how we can leverage, leverage tech for today's business success, but automate processes, data-driven decisions, digital customer reach here as well. So just really quickly, I've probably got about a minute or so, have I? About a minute? Just so, yeah, thank you. I'm just going to go really quickly then into why you need a digital strategy session to elevate your business. So I think here as well, you need a personalised approach in terms of digital and the strategy to how this can meet your business needs and identify industry challenges as well. So you've got expert guidance here as well that can teach you and help you future-proof your business. So that's really, really key as well. So I just want to see again, what type of technologies, I mean, we were going to use a technology, but it didn't work actually. So that is the power of technology. But what type of tech do you use in your organisations? Just a shout out.
Nerdly.
Which one, sorry?
It's like go high level, if you will, Stripe,
Okay.
Slack.
Brilliant, that's good. Slack is quite good for managing tasks and project management as well. Anybody else? Do you use technology in your... Yeah? Okay.
It's a little bit like, the name of it, but it's basically everything, landing page, sales page.
Okay, that's amazing. So I think it's really key, as I said, what you can hear, if you speak to those people that have implemented technology into their businesses, you will see that actually that those that have, their businesses tend to grow more and quicker because it's easy to connect, it's easy to manage your tasks as well, and streamline processes. So, again, just wanted to highlight really quickly, feel free to just scan the QR code. I didn't realise that 25 minutes has gone very quickly. So, again, one of the key things I've mentioned here as well is looking at digital breakthrough session is really quite key here as well. Looking at a step-by-step roadmap pertaining to your own business as well. I think the key thing is have a chat with us outside. We'll talk to you about digital literacy, we'll talk to you about digital strategy, how that can revolutionise your business as well. So don't be afraid of technology. I think one of the key final points I want to add is that embrace technology into your businesses and keep growing, because it's something that you need, even as a small startup, you do need technology. Okay? Thank you very much.